It was late at night. My assistant was driving because I was kind of leading the discussion, and we're talking on the way back, and I realized that we've pulled over. Now it's late. I told you this was probably an hour and a half, 2 hours from our cabin where we're standing at this really nice lake. We pull off in this gas station, and we were not just in civilization. We were in the middle of Tennessee, in deep country Tennessee. I'm talking about like you are country lost where we were. But my assistant had a good sense of direction, knew what was going on, doing the drive, and pulls off at the only place with working electricity, it felt like, that we saw for the whole 2 hours. We're probably 40 minutes from our cabin, and they pull off to get gas. And I just keep talking. I don't pay much attention. I know that we're stopped. We're at this Shell station. I hear the gas going, and they're out there, the assistant's out there pumping. We're talking. And then all of a sudden I hear something that you never want to hear when you're getting gas. I hear the sound of liquid. I hear it hitting the ground. I hear it hitting the truck. I hear it hitting the pump. It turns out that the auto shutoff was not very auto trustworthy, and it didn't work, and fuel is just spraying all over the place. And my assistant runs over and wrestles this hose out and pulls it out. And, okay, well, there you go. There is literally so much on the ground and everywhere, you can't believe it. Well, my assistant hangs up the hose and stands there, and I look over, and I kind of look, and I go, well, yeah, give me a break. And I'm not going to want to say anything because she's out there doing it. She's a liberated woman, so she's glad to pump the gas, drive. She's tough, so she's doing it. And while we're in the van talking, as I look at her, I will look over her shoulder, and I see something that you never want to see when you're filling up your unleaded vehicle. I see the color green. And I look at the color green, and I look at the hose, and I say rather frantically, Danny, you did not just fill up my truck with diesel, did you? She looks and she says, I did. I'm sorry. What do we do? And I'm like, I don't know what to do. She's like, remember it was spraying out? I don't mean she put in a little bit. She filled up 26.2 gallons of diesel, 2 a.m, deep woods, Tennessee. She has filled up my truck well to overflowing. And I'm like, I don't know what to do, but I want to play it safe. We want to be safety conscious, so let's turn off the truck. We left it on to fill up. We ought to turn it off now that we've overflowed the thing with diesel. So we reach over to turn it off. She reaches in. She's a little panicked. She goes the wrong way. It's already on, turns it off, so there we are. Truck is off. Catch our breath. Now what? Well, there's nobody anywhere. There's nobody. This is the middle of the woods. I'm thinking we're in the only place, like the way the electricity is coming to the Shell station, I'm certain is like hamsters in the back on a wheel. That's the only reason this place is lit up. We're in the middle of nowhere. So I go inside and I think, hold on a minute. The manager of a place like this, if you're going to manage a place like this all night, the late night shift, you got to be a guy who knows how to do stuff. I do not know how to do stuff, all right? I really don't have any idea. I don't even own tools. Like if I need to use a hammer, like I borrow one or rent one with the option to buy, okay? I don't have my own tools or anything fancy like that because I'm just not a very handy guy. If I had tools, I'd break stuff. So we go inside thinking I'm going to find the kind of guy who can do something about it. We go inside, place is empty except for this guy and one other guy. There's one other guy there just getting off work in the middle of the night. He's doing his grocery shopping in the middle of the night at a Shell station, meaning he's dragging a 5-gallon bucket of Skol. That's his groceries, and he's and he's buying it for his wife. All right, that's the kind of place we are. That's how lost in the middle of nowhere we are. And I go up to this guy, and I'm like, all right, manager, can I have a word with you? He says, hold on a second, sir. I've got to deal with this man. And like this man's paying for his groceries with like nickels and quarters and dimes. I'm like, I'll pay for it. Just here. Just have a great day. Goodbye. Yeah, and he drags his groceries out and he's gone. So I'm looking at the manager and I'm like, okay, sir, we got a little problem. He says, which problem? I said, well, you see my truck? He says, yeah. I said, well, we filled it all the way to the top with diesel. He goes, what'd you say, son? I said, we filled it up with diesel. He says, you did not fill all the way up. I said, oh yeah, and then some. Yeah, we did. All the way up. He says, with diesel? I said, with diesel. He just goes, ooh. Not the most reassuring response. I'm like, dude, just pull out the manual for when everybody comes in the middle of the night that does this, and here's what to do. And it turns out there's no manual because nobody else does it quite like I did it apparently. 26.2 gallons. I said, so what am I supposed to do? He said, man, you got real trouble. I said, I kind of had the sense of that. What's the plan? He said, here's what I'd recommend. It's not that tough. He goes, just do this. Find a stranger somewhere around here that's coming in the middle of the night, borrow their vehicle, drive it 20 miles away to Walmart. By the way, that's how you know you're deep country lost, is if there's a Walmart that's 20 miles away from you. That's how far away we were. He said, borrow their truck, drive there and get yourself some tools and come on back and you can start working on it. So I'm like, that's the plan. I'm going to meet a stranger and borrow his truck for 20 miles each way and go buy some stuff. He said, that's the only plan you got. I don't know what else to tell you. Somebody actually comes in who's getting off work. I tell them my woes. We borrow their truck. They let us take it. We go all the way to Walmart. We buy a tool. Do you know what tool it was we needed? Who knows? We needed a siphon tube. That's right. Where were you then? I needed you. All right, so we got this siphon tube. We drive all the way back. We use 3 YouTube videos. We jack up the truck. We have to take off some parts, take off some tires. We have to do all this stuff. We use the help of these YouTube videos. I call my friend in Lexington who knows how to use a hammer. He's helping us. We got the help of 3 Marlboro smoking angels who happen to be there driving by. They kind of came by, and we siphoned into 5-gallon buckets of Skull, that's right, old Skull buckets. We filled with 26.2 gallons of diesel. I had the privilege of now paying for fuel again, unleaded this time, filled my truck back up, put the tires back on, took it down off the jack, got everything ready, and now the guy comes out and says, man, you guys have been working here. It's now 4:30 in the morning. He says, well, now comes the real test. I go, the real test wasn't the fact that I didn't kill my assistant, the fact that I borrowed a car from a stranger, the fact that we were able to siphon 26 gallons out, and then I had to repay for gas a double time. That's not the hard part. He says, oh, no, that's not the test. Here's the test. I said, yeah, what's the test? He said, here's the test. Now you got to start it, and you got to drive it and see if it worked. I go, help me out. Well, let's see if it worked. He goes, well, didn't you say your car was on while you filled it up with diesel? I said, well, yeah, you know me, safety first. Yeah, I was on. And he said, if that diesel got up in your engine, this kind of truck, you got a world of trouble that you can't believe how far it got through, how many components, and if it's up in there and if you didn't get it all out, it's going to go bad. And I'm saying, how bad can it get? He goes, you could have to replace enough parts that you could lose the truck. I'm going, I could what? I could lose the truck. He said, that's right. I said, well, all right, then here goes. We pray. We're Christians, so we're praying. We pray. We cast out a diesel demon. We did all sorts of stuff. Take a couple breaths. Start this thing up. The car starts. My truck is starting. It sounds a little rumbly, but it's okay. It's getting going. We put this thing in drive. We're still praying. I've got my assistant there. You gotta pray. I've got her praying. We start to go. We put this thing in drive, and I get this thing up to 8, maybe 9 miles an hour. And I'm nervous, so I'm driving. And this, we're kind of bouncing. We're kind of going. And then about the 2 mile mark. Imagine 8 miles an hour for 2 miles of that. And all of a sudden, and it fires up normally. Everything catches. My truck lived. Thank you very much for your prayers and for your encouragement. My truck is alive, even still today. And the reality is, looking back on it all, that it inspired a question that the Lord dealt with me that night on, that I thought might be useful here with you all in Illinois. I thought maybe this would be useful. The Lord challenged me to say, kind of the Holy Spirit asked me this question I'll bring to you. What fuel are you putting in your tank? Like right now, these days, what fuel are you running on? What fuel is your marriage running on? What fuel is your spiritual life running on? What fuel is your faith running on? Like if I had to ask what you're putting in your tank these days, because again, why is about owning your journey. And therefore, are you taking the right steps to own your journey? Therefore, you are the one who fuels your own life.